Senator Deacon, in the world of open banking, interoperability and compatibility are key. Which role, if any, would you like to see Canada play at regional or international level in leading interoperability, perhaps as a starting point with the US?
It's an interesting question that I haven't spent an awful lot of time thinking about, Mahi, because I've been worried that the race has started and everybody's already around done one circle of the track or two or three, and we're still standing at the starting line wondering if we heard a gun or not. I'm hoping that we have the ability to become leaders. I believe Canadians can become leaders, but we have been so reticent to address the failings of just sticking with the status quo and how that is not serving Canadians, and the opportunities that this brings our banks and so many different groups of Canadians, that it's hard for me to even think about us becoming global leaders. But if there's one way I want to see us do it, it's have that vision of, let's become the bankers that the world trusts. Let's become the ones that the honorable, good, hardworking folks of the world want to come to be the group that supports them, no matter where they're from.
Senator Deacon, in the Senate, you were once again quoted saying, markets fail to serve citizens when regulatory modes protect incumbent businesses from competition in ways that enable them to increase prices and profits while still selling the same old mousetrap. And you added, markets work best when innovators or makers of better mousetraps are rewarded, end quote. From your vantage point, what should the ideal feature of an efficient and competitive Canadian financial services ecosystem look like, and how far off are we from that feature?
So when people think about issues around competition, they immediately go to the Competition Act, which in Canada, there's no question our Competition Act is in desperate need of a robust review, that it brings a lot of diverse groups to the table and really thinks through what sort of economy do we want moving forward. But there's a whole other side to competition, and that's the regulatory environment that we all work, that all these businesses work in. And the regulations determine too often, how things must be done versus what public policy priority must be achieved. So Canada has a lot of command and control regulations saying this is how you must do this. This is how you protect Canadians versus protect Canadians from this, whatever this endpoint is, and allow people to innovate. As incumbent businesses build their business model and build their structures and their systems around these regulations, the regulations themselves become like a moat to protect them from competition, because anybody who wants to come into the system has to figure all of those regulations out and build a system to work the same way the incumbent business works. A new innovator coming in can't align necessarily with all of those same regulations, maybe doing tremendous public good and really helping consumers, but the regulatory moat still sits there as a barrier. And so for me, we have got to start to look at all aspects of our economy, which is a highly concentrated economy in terms of retail, food distribution, agricultural processing, banking, telecom, airlines, you name it. We're a highly concentrated economy. We've got to look at that and say, do we have the ability? Are we enabling strong innovators to break into the system, build a better mousetrap, and then succeed at sharing that with consumers in a way that the consumers are protected? And too many of our sectors, that's not the case, banking being one of them. And so that's why I feel that we've got to take a broader look at the issue of competition in this country and make sure that innovative new entrants made in Canada competition has the ability to succeed in Canada and then head out to the world and share those successes globally. It's something I'm passionate about and something that I think we've had a real weakness in, and we've got to change how we regulate if we're going to get to that vision.
Right. Senator, we are about to wrap up this interview. It's been a very interesting conversation. Any final thought you'd like to share with the audience?
Mahi, I'd like to turn it around to you as interviewer, because you're the expert. You're the one who has seen around the world. You've spoken to a lot of folks in a lot of countries, and I'd love to have your one or two pieces of advice, your one or two either fears or hopes for Canada as we address these issues, because honestly, it's somebody with your perspective that I always like hearing from, and I don't want to miss this chance.
Thank you for asking that. Honestly, I think Canada is lucky, right? Is lucky in a sense that many have gone this path already. We've talked about Australia, we've talked about the UK, we've talked about Brazil, and some other places like Korea. They have done tremendous progress when it comes to open banking / open finance. I believe the lessons are there. We have been, the NCFA, we've been, reaching out to experts from around the world to get, their insights, to collect their wisdom when it comes to that. So we've been providing that to the entire community, and this interview with you today fits into that. So I think the chances are really there for Canada to do good, and even perhaps to leapfrog some of these countries. So personally, I wanna keep that in mind. It is really bright, the future, and with people like yourself, all the work you are doing, I believe we will get there.
Well, Mahi, thank you for that, and you've just reaffirmed something I believe firmly, that we don't need to slow down right now. We need to take some of the best practices from around the world and keep moving, just keep moving. And others are doing it successfully, and their consumers, their marginalized members of their population, their small businesses are all winning. And it's improving benefits. So you've just reaffirmed that for me, and I'm grateful. And thank you for taking the time to reach out to me. I'm honored to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely. So on behalf of the National Crowdfunding and Fintech Association of Canada, once again, thank you for coming on, Senator Deacon, and for all you do to support financial technology innovation in Canada.
Thanks, Mahi.
Thank you.